Hey everyone, this is Bennett, your fantasy football commissioner, here with the Week 6 recap. Interesting week. A lot of people suffered from bye week players this week. So most of the games were very, very low scoring. However, there was one game which was just a total shootout. We'll get to that in a minute, but the one close game we had this week, was the Spring Street Stallions defeating the Darth Taters 130 to 119. This was interesting because the Stallions had a nice 6 point lead going into Monday night with Peyton Manning playing. The Idaho Darth Taters had Eric Decker playing. So the way it works out, I'm sure you guys have figured this out, but if you have a receiver opposing a quarterback, it can go a couple different ways. If that receiver has a huge day, then they're going to get more points than the quarterback because of the extra, the less yards needed per point plus the 1 point per catch as well. So it's one of those things where if that happens, then the receiver is going to get more points. But if the receiver has a mediocre day and a lot of other receivers have good days, then the quarterback is going to get more points. So this was sort of in the middle. It was very, very close. The big turning point really was when Eric Decker caught a 40-some-odd yard pass from Manning and was clear path the rest of the way to the end zone. Would have been a 75-yard touchdown reception, and he trips over his own 2 feet and falls down and doesn't get those extra points. So that would have netted the Darth Taters 3 points more than the Stallions, 3 or 4 points on that play. But as the game went on, Peyton Manning ended up having some other touchdowns. I think that one to Stokely, and I think one to Demaryius Thomas. So that pretty much put it away, even though Decker definitely made it close with 21 points. But Peyton Manning got 26 points, and they get the 11-point win there. So Stallions squeak out a win. Good win there with the Mark S. Colston on a bye, who had the huge game the week before. So they moved to 4-2, and the Darth Taters fall to 3-3. Now for the shootout, and clearly to this point in the season, the best team in the league is You Got Beat by a Girl. She scores a whopping 228 points. Of course, I don't have a research team to look up like the history of the league, but it's got to be one of the top 2 or 3 weekly point totals ever. Unbelievable game. Aaron Rodgers, 6 touchdowns, 45 points. Robert Griffin had that long touchdown run. He had 38 points. Wes Welker, 30 points. A.J. Green has been awesome, 35 points. Even with only 2 points from the 49er defense, which you would expect a lot more. They've been so good this year. But Sarah's team gets 228 points. Just awesome game from almost everyone. Almost everyone got double-digit points. And looking at the rankings, I mean, she's got the top 2 quarterbacks fantasy in the league, and one of the top 2 or 3, or I think 2 out of the top 8 receivers in the league with Welker and Green. So to this point in the season, Sarah's looking pretty damn good, and even had Matt Forte on a bye. The tough luck loser is the Oceanside Lionesses, who scored the second most points in the whole league by about 35 points. And would have beat obviously anyone else by 35 points. Instead, loses by 40 plus points, or 39 points. So great day from Stafford, Russell Wilson, and Des Bryant, and Larry Fitzgerald. Good days there. So just a solid day. Obviously 0 from Jackie Battle on San Diego didn't help. But obviously just tough luck. Scored 179 points and lose by 40. It's just a tough way to go. So she falls to 3-3, and again, You Got Beat by a Girl, sitting pretty at 6-6. Another interesting game was the Slim Aussies defeating Third and Oolong. This was actually pretty close for a while, until Philip Rivers threw 4 picks in the second half of the Monday night game. But the crazy thing here is that poor Doreen gets 0 points from Brian Hartline, who had a 9-catch game in week 2, a 12-catch, 253-yard game in week 4, came down to earth in week 5 with only 4 catches, but big fat 0 for Brian Hartline. Not a single catch. And the Dolphins won. They played well. The quarterback played well. And Brian Hartline got nothing. Unbelievable. Also, bad luck with Sean Green, who's done nothing all year. He busted out. Can't fault her for not starting Sean Green, but maybe a little fault for not starting Josh Freeman, who's been who's been playing well the last couple weeks, and definitely could have been there over Rivers, who just isn't as good as he used to be for whatever reason. He just threw some really, really bad picks, and obviously Brian Hartline not getting any catches, that hurt. So she gets 102 points. Falls to the Slim Aussies, who had a respectable 142 points. The big trade acquisition didn't do me any good. Marshawn Lynch only got 6 points. That was a big disappointment. Not ready to panic yet, but and like I said last week, I'm glad that I don't have Vic, so I don't have to root for the Eagles anymore, or for at least the Eagles to score points. So, but definitely got the short end of the trade this week because Vic had 25 points. But Percy Harvin, Calvin Johnson had good days. Calvin Johnson's one of those guys he gets shut out in the first half, but the Lions are playing catch up in the second half and always gets some garbage fantasy points for me. So Calvin Johnson, even though he's not getting in the end zone this year, still putting up good fantasy points. And surprise quarterback, which allowed me to trade Michael Vick, was Andy Dalton getting 25 points. So nice game there, respectable point total. Even with a disappointing 6 points from Marshawn Lynch. Slim Aussies get back to 500, and third new long. A little bit of tough luck, falls to 2-4. Two other games to talk about. We have the CT Calvinators moved to 4-0. I'm sorry, 4-2. In spite of Matt Ryan having 3 picks, he was the number 1 rated quarterback going into the week. He has his worst game of the year by far. Only gets 9 points, but smart start for Matt Hasselbeck with Cam Newton on a bye. That was pretty smart. A savvy play by Greg. C.J. Spiller back from injury did well. Vincent Jackson as well. So even with negative 2 points from the Colts defense, with the Giants, don't ask me why Greg didn't have the Giants defense in, but nonetheless, they get 140 points. They get the win. The Catonsville Cartels just not having a good year again. Didn't even have a running back in one of the running back spots, and I'm not sure how much of this is apathy on Gallo's part, but he did have 4 running backs all on byes, so no one on his bench could have even played in the running back position. And then Steve Smith was on a bye, but not really any wide receivers to speak of either. Darius Hayward-Bay could have gone in there. So Catonsville Cartel, all I can say is please keep putting your lineup in. You trade for Michael Vick, and then you have him sitting on your bench with 25 points. No excuse there. I know Tannehill and Whedon have been decent, but you got to get Vick in, especially when you trade for him. So Gallo, I implore you, put your best lineup in. At least do the bare minimum to keep the league somewhat competitive each week. So only 108. Actually, scored more points than a couple other teams, in spite of having two slots with a player not even playing. So the Calvinators get a nice win. They go to 4-2. The Cartel fall to 0-6. One other game, Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy moves to 4-2. Not too many points, 124. But they do get the win over the Tough Luck Travelers. The Travelers had 3 noteworthy bench studs. Chris Johnson, only 15 points, but compared to how he's done the rest of the year, that was a big improvement. Jeremy Macklin had a big game, 28 points, and Tony Romo had a respectable game, much more respectable than Alex Smith with 2 points. So Romo had 18 points. So all those points on the bench, doing the math quickly, looks like definitely would have gotten over the hump with 124 points. But nonetheless, bench stud of the week, the trifecta for Temi only gets 101 points, and Ray Finkel gets I'm sure they'll take it with 124 point in the win. So let's take a look at the standings. Again, we have you got beat by a girl, easily the most impressive team this year at 6-0. Spring Street Stallions not too far behind at 4-2, and the Slim Aussies back to 500 at 3-3. In the Mash division, the Calvinators and Ray Finkel's Kicking Academy both at 4-2, and the Lionesses and the Darth Taters right behind them at 3-3, and even third in Oolong, who's had a couple bad luck losses, still well within reach, 2 games back. So that's it for this week. 6 teams on buys this week, and so a lot of buy players. It's going to be tough to fill out your rosters, but that's where you got to be a good GM here and figure it out. So good luck there. Thursday night lineups as always, and send me your money if you haven't already. 4 Adams Lane. West Hartford, Connecticut 06117. Thanks for listening, and hopefully the lip sync on the video will work this week. I'm having issues getting the audio and the video to sync up. I know it's annoying to watch like that, but hey, low budget here. I don't have the budget to get professional equipment, so I'm dealing with the iChat video camera on the Mac. So have a good week, everyone, and good luck. Take care.